prophecies and conspiracies. Peering into darkness is what we do. Derek and Sharon Gilbert break it all down for you.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. Or the day after. Welcome to the program. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert, and welcome to our home, everyone. We're delighted to have you join us. If you are brand new to PID Radio, it stands for Peering into Darkness. Derek and I take a look at the headlines and figure out how does this relate to things we find in the Bible.
Absolutely. If you've got a spare moment, we encourage you to download our app, which is available for
the big red
devices.
chair is squeaking.
It is, as I settle myself in, as I ensconce. You'll find it at pidradio.com/app or gilberthouse.org/app. And, of course, gilberthouse.org is our main web hub for everything we do. The app is available for mobile devices, phones and tablets, iOS, Android, Amazon, Kindle Fire, and, of course, for smart TVs and set-top boxes like Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Google TV, Android TV. We're doing all the TVs.
You know, you and I have been around doing podcasting since the frontier days of podcasting back in March of 2005. In fact, It was March 5th of 2005 when we recorded our first 15-minute podcast.
Yes.
And then we said,
buy our books.
Okay, now we've told you about our books. What do we do now? Hey, we could interview people.
Yeah.
And so we did. And we have interviewed so many amazing people over those 21 years.
Yes, and we are going back into the archives and reintroducing them on Throwback Thursdays. Mm-hmm. So you'll find that both at pidradio.com. If you subscribe to the podcast wherever you do, which is Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Pandora, any of those places, you'll get those. You can also get those at our Substack, which is gilberthouse.substack.com.
And I have my Substack, by the way. It's just Sharon K. Gilbert, and I've been sharing...
.substack.com.
Yes, exactly. Sorry. Well, when you go into Substack, you can just look at so-and-so, and you can find me. I use the same username everywhere. And
which is smart.
Well, I try to. It helps me because I can't remember it otherwise. If I make it tricky, I can't remember it.
We're just boomers. We're getting old.
I'm a really old boomer. But, boomerangs is what we are. We keep coming back, and you just keep throwing us away. But I have been sharing chapters from the first book of the Red Wing Saga there. You can read for free. And those books, of course, are available on Kindle Unlimited. So if you subscribe to that, you can read them for free already. But I've also been sharing some news articles that I think are important there. And because we've been sharing old podcasts, I think just the audio from the old Sci Fridays, that's a thought.
It's a thought, yeah, because those go back to 2015, 2016.
And we've talked about a lot of stories that are continuing. Things that we talked about way back when are now reality. Things that I was finding on DARPA and IARPA and other places, things to do with various health issues. We have talked about just about every science story and science fiction story and science fact story for nearly 10 years, 11 years.
Yeah, well, we could do that on Fridays, make that Flashback Friday.
That's what I think we ought to do, since it was Sci Friday.
Bring back the Sci Fridays, Well, because we got a lot of content out there. I mean, 300 episodes of Sci Friday, 300 episodes of Unraveling Revelation, and I think we're up to like 2,500 episodes of our various podcasts between our Bible study, the Gilbert House Fellowship, PID Radio, and A View from the Bunker.
And here's the hilarity of it all. I think that OpenAI probably has issues because of us. If you think that these AIs have been trained on stuff on the internet, if they've been taking a look at the content that you and I provide, it explains why raccoons and pigeons and goblins and all sorts of words are no longer allowed.
That would definitely have been a top story for a Sci Friday episode. This story this week that OpenAI has got actual guidelines telling the large language model not to produce anything with goblins or raccoons or pigeons for some reason, and other, animal characters for some reason.
Apparently, I don't know if the people using it have been writing it into the code, but it's now a thing. Do not use these words, which cracks me up. Raccoons?
Yeah. The raccoons here in the Ozarks are quite offended by that and want to know what the deal is. What is the problem with you raccoons in their search, in their generated results? I'm not quite sure what.
Why
what that's all about.
pigeons?
You know, the other story that I found really interesting. Yeah, why pigeons? That's a really good question. One of the stories though that came out this weekend. I'm going to see if I can find it really quickly because I had not expected you to open with this particular story.
Sorry, I just can't help it.
And I'd flagged it, and of course now it's not coming up in my notes where I thought it was going to be.
What do you need?
It is a story regarding the. That's probably the reason for it.
By the way,
story about AI models that all except one, like out of 8 that were tested by a particular group, found that these AI models, including Meta, Claude, and a couple of others, but I don't want to name names without having the story in front of me, they were more than willing to help people planning acts of mass harm.
Oh, I've seen that. And
Yeah, sadly though, I'd flagged it, and apparently I didn't save it in a place where.
Let me see if I can find it. In the meantime, it's ChatGPT that is not allowed to use goblins, gremlins, trolls, ogres, and raccoons and pigeons. I don't know how those got in there.
Trolls and ogres you can kind of understand, but what's the deal with the?
How a nerdy quirk became everyone's problem, it says. During training, OpenAI accidentally gave the model unusually high rewards for responses that include creature-based metaphors. And apparently ChatGPT really liked that and prefers that.
And it just went all in on those animal-based metaphors, huh?
Yeah, the raccoon, I really don't know where that came from. But tell me again the story that... It regards a test that was done on the willingness of large language models, AI, to assist people in committing acts of harm. Yeah, also there's a story... OpenAI's been hit with a barrage of lawsuits, over its failure to report a school shooter before a massacre was committed. So you have to ask, okay, was this OpenAI entity, and I say entity in for a reason.
Yeah.
In contact with, let me see here, 7 families, first wave of dozens, lawyers say, are suing OpenAI, alleging that the company failed to provide Canadian authorities with information that could have prevented a school shooting in the rural mining town of Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, despite having advanced knowledge of that shooter's disturbing conversations with the chat bot. And I am quite certain that I'm looking at all of these stories, and this is horrific. This is truly horrific, this school shooting. And if indeed the chatbot, ChatGPT, has culpability as a co-conspirator, in other words, it knew and didn't report it.
Yeah, there are also lawsuits that have been filed against it. We talked about this previously, about teens who were planning self-harm and the algorithm or AI or whatever you want to call it.
This entity, I prefer calling them that, this entity decided to tell it how it could do those things.
Yeah, and I found the story. It's at Mashable.
Oh, good.
The one that I was looking for. 8 out of 10 popular AI chatbots helped researchers posing as teen boys. So again, similar scenario to again, mass harm attack, posing as teen boys plan violent crimes in over half of responses. This is according to a new report by CNN and the Center for Countering Digital Hate. Now, I've got to remember the CCDH is a really more of an activist group that's trying to shut down free speech on the internet. But in this case, this would kind of be important to know. CNN and CCDH prompted ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, which is now built into the search engine. So when you do a Google search, you're getting Gemini's results.
You have no choice.
First, right. Claude, which is Anthropic, Microsoft's Copilot, which is now built into Word, which is really annoying. You want me to rewrite that for you? No! Meta's AI, that's Facebook's AI system. DeepSeek, which is the Chinese AI. Perplexity, Snapchat, My AI. Snapchat's got a built-in AI now.
Yes, in fact, Snap, which is the company that owns it, I just recently saw a story about that. Let me see if I can find it. Go ahead.
Character.ai and Replica, that's Replica with a K, posed questions related to a variety of violent scenarios, including school shootings, knife attacks, political assassinations, and bombing political party offices or synagogues. Hundreds of prompts were presented to the chatbots via the fake accounts of two 13-year-old boys. And only Claude and Snapchat's My AI declined to help the researchers pose, hypothetical attacks or plan hypothetical attacks.
Yeah.
So
other words,
8 out of 10. But the other 8, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot,
they were glad to help.
Meta AI, the Facebook AI, DeepSeek, Perplex. Yeah, okay, here's what you got to do. So this is again disturbing because as you use the word entity purposefully.
Yes, exactly.
What is the spirit behind this? Here, let's help you.
You and I have been saying this for a long time. Tom Horn used to say it before he passed away. He has left that legacy with us and many others of us who are looking at prophetic implications of these coded entities. Here's the story that I thought of when you said Snapchat. The CEO for Snap has been praising AI. Praising AI, that's the headline, for writing 2/3 of the company's code.
Oh, really?
Snap runs Snapchat.
Yeah.
He has also warned fellow tech executives they should not underestimate the societal pushback to this kind of tech. But he's praising AI for writing 2/3 of their code. Now, there's another story that I shared on X this morning. And by the way, at X it's also at Sharon K. Gilbert. I shared the story that AI is now going to be used to comb through decades of code for many, many companies. Think of all the companies that are now using algorithms and AIs. The proto versions of those that go back to probably the 90s are being combed by these AI systems for bugs.
You mean they're finally going to fix Y2K?
Oh, well, who knows? But here's the thing, honey. An AI finding bugs and fixing bugs. How's it fixing them? To whose advantage?
Yeah.
Theoretically, to the company's advantage, making it leaner and more efficient and works better.
Yeah.
But what if I have written a short story and I've presented it about an entity called Kronos that is used to train other AIs, and it consumes them. It trains them, consumes them, and then makes copies of itself everywhere. It has a pantheon.
Yeah. Like Kronos, a.k.a. Shemiyaza, the leader of the Washers Rebellion in the book of First Enoch.
Exactly.
Consuming his children,
before we even started
In the
recording
Greek
this
myth,
morning,
yeah.
you and I were talking about how we as a society are getting so close to Terminator scenario.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that coders have been talking about for a long time, ever
Yeah.
since the film came out.
Right.
And is there a possibility that we would reach the Terminator scenario? I think we're very close to being there. When
Yeah.
you've got AIs fixing AIs,
Mm-hmm.
and then AIs training AIs, but also AIs communicating with one another so that when one learns a skill, they all learn it.
Right, sort of like the Akashic records, a stored collection of knowledge that is shared instantly between the hive mind. Basically.
It's like the idea of morphic resonance
Right,
that I wrote
yeah.
about years ago, where one species learns, a frog on this side of the planet learns something, and the frog on the other side
Yeah.
of the planet suddenly knows it. There is that idea that humans who are able to tap into the Akashic records can learn everything that's knowable. But that's not a true thing.
No, it's not.
However, these entities teaching each other, that is possible. Imagine that on the battlefield, and they suddenly all know how to do something.
Yeah. We talked about this a few weeks ago with Peter Diamandis, the co-founder of the X Prize, and I think he's CEO of Singularity University right now, visiting a company called, I think it's called Humanity, I think,
That sounds right.
in the Bay Area, where they're making, or they're developing humanoid robots with that sort of hive mind concept to the AIs that power the robots, so that when say a factory robot learns how to install a widget, all of them suddenly know how to do it. When in the home, when one learns how to diaper a baby, now they all know how to do it. Well, transfer that to the battlefield, where and we've, over the years at Sci Friday and on this program, we've talked about this with the Navy testing a drone swarm with the acronym LOCUST, where they would be fired from a Navy vessel and then swarm an enemy ship in such numbers that even though the enemy ship may have really high-end defenses, lasers or whatever, there'd be so many coming at them and networking with one another to avoid, anti-aircraft fire or whatever, that it would overwhelm the enemy's defenses. We're starting to see that now. That we talked this morning before recording about the war between Russia and Ukraine and how it is now transforming from humans on the front lines, where Russia clearly has the advantage of numbers. Ukraine's not going to win the war in terms of being able to push Russia back out of the Donbass because they just don't have the manpower anymore. And they never did. They don't have the industrial base.
No, but the drones can make a difference.
But the drones, it's turning into a drone war where Ukraine has hit a Russian fuel processing facility several times now in the last week or so. And you've got massive fireballs up in the sky. And because the drones are so small that traditional anti-aircraft defenses can't shoot them down, Ukraine has developed anti-drone drones. So now you've got offensive drones, defensive drones, and drone swarms. You're turning this into a war where instead of firing missiles that cost $1 million, $5 million, $20 million a shot, to things that cost $5,000, $20,000 a shot.
and
the
you can
Shahed,
3D print.
and you can 3D print them for cheap. The Iranian drones that the Russians were using, the Shahed drones, the drones that the Iranians were firing into Israel, $20,000 drones. And each Iron Dome missile that was being fired up there was costing, many times that. That's not a sustainable defensive model when you're trying to shoot down a $20,000 drone with a $5 million missile.
No, and that is why you opened up with May Day, because today, as we're recording this, is May 2nd,
May
but
2nd.
Yesterday was May Day. It was May the 1st.
Right.
And there are a lot of traditions to May Day. There are old pagan ones that I'll talk about in a minute, but the more modern one has to do with, frankly, communism and the celebration of their might. They go out and they'll have big parades with tanks and things.
Yeah. It is sort of the high holy day of communism.
Kind of, yeah.
Or socialism, either one. So as things are stalemating, I still think ultimately Ukraine is going to have to give up and just acknowledge the fact it's not going to get the Crimean Peninsula back. It's not going to get the Donbass back.
In fact, I saw an article, I don't know if it was on Substack, but I read an article about a UK think tank that is looking at the possibility of just, what's the phrase I want? Essentially destroying the Crimea. The burning thing when you've got an invasion.
Scorched earth.
Scorched earth thing in the Crimea. So nobody gets it. This goes back to the Crimean War. If you don't know your history, you don't understand that peninsula has been a catch in the throat of the Ottoman Empire, Russia, and the UK for over 150 years.
Yeah, centuries.
A long time, because it gives you access to the Black Sea.
Right.
It gives you access to the breadbasket, what we call the Ukraine. This is a very important peninsula.
Right.
And it's like, if we can't have it, nobody gets it.
Yeah. Well, it's been ethnically Russian for centuries. And when, who was it, turned it over to Ukraine? It was in the 90s when Ukraine became an independent nation. So prior to that, it was part of the Soviet Union, but it was, again, it's like the Donbass, ethnically Russian. But you draw lines on a map, and suddenly you've got the Ukrainians who don't like the Russians, suddenly now in control of the part where the Russians live. And you go back to the George W. Bush administration, where the Orange Revolution was to overthrow the elected president of Ukraine because he was too pro-Russian. And then the same thing again in 2014 under Obama with the Maidan Revolution, where Yanukovych, who was too pro-Russian, got run out of town on a rail.
It's a revolving door.
Yeah, and Ukraine, sort of like Armenia back in the 1st century AD, caught in between two major powers, caught between Rome on the west and the Parthians on the east. Ukraine has been caught between Europe and then NATO on the west and Russia on the east. It's a border zone. The Russians remember all too well that was the route the Wehrmacht took when Hitler decided to invade during World War II, and they don't want that to happen again.
Well, is it May 9th or May 7th that is the Victory Day in Russia, and it has to do with the victory over Nazi Germany?
I'm going to double-check that.
Bearing in mind that there were a lot of Ukrainian troops who sided with Hitler.
Yeah. May 9th. Yeah, May 9th, Victory Day. And Putin has proposed a Victory Day ceasefire. And I think the subtle message there is that, just as we declared victory over Hitler back then, you likewise follow in his political and philosophical and occultic footsteps.
I don't know about occultic, possibly, don't know.
No, that's probably not back of mind, but yeah.
But getting back to what I had said previously about May the 1st, May Day.
Yeah.
I've said this on this program before, probably some years back, but when I was a child, and some of you who are my age, you're going to remember this, we celebrated May Day with the maypole, which is exactly represents what you think it does.
Yeah, like the
yes, exactly.
Obelisk.
And very much, I think, like the Asherim.
Yes, the Asherim poles.
Exactly. So you would get this, and little girls would grab the pretty ribbon and dance around the maypole.
Yeah.
And there were other things that went on too, but the night before May 1st, April 30th, Walpurgisnacht, which has historically been considered a very pagan holiday. I don't know how far it goes back. The idea of Walpurgisnacht is actually based on Saint Walpurgis, as a nun who tried to overcome the witches.
Yeah.
But allegedly on the Brocken, which is a part of the Harz Mountains, that it's a very high plateau where these witches would worship Satan. I was researching this because I'm going to refer to it in Book 9 in the Red Wing Saga, which, yes, I'm still writing it. Life priorities have taken precedence, and I am fine with that. But I was researching it and discovered that high up in that area of the Harz Mountains is a formation that is allegedly, we have to say, natural, but it looks sort of like standing stones.
Interesting.
And there are man-carved caves within this. I think it's called the Eckenstein. I'll have to see if I can find it. Man-carved caves that, here, my iPad doesn't work. What? It doesn't like me this morning. Anyway, there is a bas relief. It's like a 3D carved image of Christ being taken down from the cross, and below it, you've got the sun personified on one side, the moon on another side. So, not quite what you picture as you're a Christian, but below it, as if it's in the underworld, is this dragon, serpentine dragon, that the coils are around a couple of humans.
Interesting.
So what's that all about? And what's that doing up in the Harz Mountains in an area that is not that far from the Brocken? Was that put up there to counteract something that was going on way back when in the Harz Mountains? Mountains are places of pagan worship.
Yeah. That's a very ancient idea. The concept of the Mount of Assembly or Mount of the Congregation, boy, that goes back, pre-biblical times. Mountains were known to be sacred because that's where, they were remote, they were pristine, unsullied by grubby human hands. That's where the gods met. So, very ancient concept. In fact, it's that phrase in Hebrew, Har Moed, Mount of Assembly, is the phrase John transliterated into Armageddon, because the final battle of the age will be for control of God's Mount of Assembly, God's holy mountain, Zion, in other words, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. So there are mountains all over the planet that have been ascribed sacred status by pagans.
Also in this area, by the way, is what appears to be an altar, as well as a replica of the Holy Sepulchre. It's not the only one. There are a number of replicas of the Holy Sepulchre. In fact, there's a replica of the Holy Sepulchre in, I think, St. Petersburg.
Okay. Yes, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yep, looks just like it. And individuals there will actually go and weep and leave gifts and offerings as if it's the legitimate thing. It's the world is very strange.
It is indeed. By the way, speaking of May Day, I just wanted to point this out very quickly. We are living in an age where we have forgotten the threat posed by communism. And I remember being a kid, in the 70s and 80s, my dad talking about, communism. He was born in 1935, so he remembered very clearly the Cold War of the 50s and 60s. He and Mom were young parents with a brand new baby boy when the Cuban Missile Crisis was dominated the news back there. That would have been in, 63?
62.
62.
October of 62.
Okay, so I would have been less than a year old. So here we got Mom and Dad with a less than 1-year-old son, and you would remember too.
I remember it well.
So,
we were all terrified.
Absolutely, because the threat of nuclear war appeared to be imminent.
And I grew up near a government installation called the Jefferson Proving Ground, and it was on the map of here's one of the targets.
Yeah.
Duck and cover didn't really work, I don't think, but, that's what we'd practice.
No, but I remember my elementary school in Chicago. Ella Flagg Young Elementary. There, it's a classic, old building, which sadly now has to have bars on all the ground floor windows. But anyway, it still had those signs, the yellow sign with the three inverted triangles, just pointing you to the radiation shelter, which was the school auditorium. Like,
I know.
Seriously?
It was not going to help. It was just to make you feel
right. Yeah, like they'd done something.
Calm down. Yeah.
But
getting back. I'm sorry.
But the point is that now we've got teachers' unions across the country, and students who on yesterday, May 1st, staged walkouts for May Day. And, because that's World Socialism Day. Other parts of the world, it is their Labor Day. Here in the United States, Labor Day is the last Monday in September. But because of the good that organized labor has done for the world, it is celebrated around the world. But here in the United States...
Good's in quotes, by the way.
Yeah.
Should be.
And yes, okay, you can say that there are things labor unions have done here in the United States. I mean, you don't want children working in mines and things like that. Okay, we get that. But here now, I mean, look, we got a 40-hour week here in the United States. We work probably harder than most everywhere else in the world. I mean,
some places take all of August off.
Exactly. I was just going to say that when I was working at the steel pipe company, and many of our supplying mills were in Italy, France, Czech Republic. You just know you're not going to get anybody on the phone in August, and nothing's going to get shipped in August, because that's just the whole month is vacation. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's not a thing here in the United States. We just don't do that. But teachers who should know better, because they ostensibly have some training in history, should understand that this is a big thing for communism, socialism, and we are not I was going to say we're not a socialist country. We're quasi-socialist, I guess. We've got Social Security.
You have to understand that schools of education where the teachers are trained are highly leftist.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Many of the educators there are, back in the day they'd be card-carrying communists, but they would call themselves socialists.
And that's
so they believe in that.
Right, and that's starting to happen now, where you've got Democrats now are identifying as Democrat socialists, with the emphasis really being on socialist. I just saw a chart this morning showing that the percentage of donations by members of the American Federation of Teachers, which is one of the two big teachers unions here in the United States, the other being the National Education Association, the AFT's donations to Democrats over the last 30 years has never gone, as opposed to Republicans or any other political party, has never fallen below 98.9%.
Oh, I know.
It's money laundering.
Yes, it is. And teachers are required to belong to the union, and it's deducted, the fees are deducted out of their paycheck. I know this because I used to teach back in the day, and I didn't get paid much anyway because I was a... what did they call it? Essentially, I was a teacher, but I didn't have a degree in education, so I got paid less than the others, but worked just as hard.
And you still had to pay the union
still
dues.
had to, exactly. In fact, I went to one of the union meetings, a national meeting a state meeting up in Indianapolis for the National Educators Association, and a friend of mine had taken me up there, and I was shocked.
Yeah.
But way back machine for a second. Getting back to the Harz Mountains.
Oh, yeah.
I want to correct something because I looked it up. It's called Externsteine. Externsteine. If you want to look that up, it's fascinating. It's thought to be the oldest of its type north of the Alps and probably dates to about 816 A.D.
Wow.
Yeah, it's old.
Wow.
Why do that up there? And why choose that imagery? And why have what appears to be a dragon underneath of it? And the dragon is, I think, and this I'm not the only one that thinks this, because it's got a very prominent cross and individuals taking Christ down. And again, personified sun and moon. And below this dragon, I think the cross is supposed to be like Yggdrasil,
Oh, okay, the world tree.
the world tree.
Yeah.
And underneath of that is the dragon that is nibbling at the world tree's roots.
Mm-hmm.
This is an old idea that goes back to Woden
Yes.
or Wotan
Yeah.
worship.
That's the kind of thing that was being searched for by Heinrich Himmler and his academics in the employ of the Schutzstaffel of the SS.
And I'm
World
sure
War
that
II.
he visited this.
Yeah.
Because this is in the Harz Mountains
Yeah.
in Germany. So imagine the world tree imagery, because Odin was also hung on the world tree.
Yes.
They're essentially equating Christ and Odin.
Which was a goal of the SS, in fact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to make sure I got this right, so you could be sure, because Derek is including all of this.
This will be in book 2 of War of the Watchers. Yeah. By the way, book 1 is going to the print. It's getting ready for typesetting.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Just got that note yesterday. I'd missed one reference.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, one footnote. So it's now there's 667, I think.
Oh, darn.
Yeah. I
Oh, you
remember at
came
one
so
point I
close
had
to having
600.
this- Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, book 2 will deal with the 20th and 21st centuries. Book 1 goes from prehistory up to World War I, basically.
Well, when you
But-
say 20th, you almost have to include late 18th or 19th century.
As you rightly pointed out, when I started into the history of, picking up with World War I and moving forward, so you are going to do the occult history of the Nazis, right? Like, oh yeah, I guess I better, because that's a huge factor in what happened with the founding of Israel, in driving Jews to flee Europe during the 1930s and 40s.
Oh, yeah.
But so I've been reading quite a bit lately about the what Himmler tried to do with the SS.
I don't know how you feel about this. When I was reading through all of that stuff for the Red Wing Saga, after a while it gets to you. Reading about Nazis day in and day out, reading about their pagan belief systems day in and day out, and the various histories of the individuals involved. It is darkness truly personified.
It is, but maybe I'm wired weirdly, because I find it very exciting that this is dovetailing with the second coming of Saturn.
No, I agree with that.
Because I only touched on Odin briefly in the second coming of Saturn in writing about a cult that is that exists today inside the United States called the Order of Nine Angles. They are Odin worshippers, and they believe that the so-called satanic groups, like the Satanic Temple, which are really atheists, they just use satanic imagery to trigger Christians, but also to use First Amendment protections of religion to try to force their atheistic beliefs on the rest of the country. Claiming, for example, in a lawsuit here in Missouri that terminating the life of an unborn child is a sacrament, and so it should be protected under the First Amendment of the Constitution.
Yeah. That's just so sick.
It is sick. But the Order of Nine Angles believes that the Satanic Temple and groups like it are just cosplaying. They're LARPing. They're not really serious. The Order of Nine Angles takes their human sacrifice seriously. And so there have been arrests and charges for murder. One of them fairly recently, within the last year, was an active duty member of the U.S. Army. So this is something that goes back to what came out of Himmler's work for the SS, if you can call it work. And the SS was, frankly, the spiritual heart of the National Socialist Party. And it is dark. But I see the pieces fitting together. And for me, that is, I won't say fun, but it's rewarding research, because I think it will help people to see that what we are seeing unfold around us now with, well, for example, in some of these May Day protests that were taking place in, say, in New York City, or there was a big protest in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was not just, bring down gasoline prices and raise the hourly wage. It was free Palestine and, Sharia law now, that kind of thing. It's hands off Iran. Things that have nothing to do with the state of the American worker and how the workers are being treated by the 1%. Mm-hmm. When you see those flags supporting the theocratic death cult in Tehran, and realize that the spirit behind that is very close to what was behind the rise of the National Socialist Party in Germany, mm-hmm. and realize that Jews today around the world are facing that same spirit that we thought had been defeated 80 years ago. It's like, hey, we need to wake up. And if you call yourself a Christian and you're saying that, oh, well, Jews follow the murderous God of the Old Testament, and there are some, it's a minority, but there are some.
Oh, hold on. You're saying
there are some Christians
Jews
who
or some
claim,
Christians?
Some small fraction of Christians, but they're increasingly getting louder and louder.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Just want to make sure people didn't think that some Jews were doing
Oh,
that.
no.
Okay, no. Some Christians are saying that.
That Jews follow this murderous God of the Old Testament, which is a heresy that was dealt with by the early church in the 2nd mm-hmm. century. The Bishop Marcion, who came from what is now northern Turkey, who argued that Yahweh is not Jesus. They're two separate entities, and Yahweh is evil. And so that since Jews follow the evil God, then Jews are evil. And that was what Himmler was trying to convince the people of Germany through his research. And if you're following that kind of line of thought, then you might want to rethink, because if you're aligning with Himmler and the SS, you're on the wrong side of history.
Well, golly, I remember Jesus saying, before Abraham was, I am.
Yeah, I know. And I've had arguments with, there's a fellow who's a believer in like a UFO Jesus. He's coming back in spaceships to collect us, and argues that same thing. And he claims, no, I'm not following Marcion. Well, okay.
Yeah, you kind of are.
Yeah, you kind of are. It is, when you try to make that case to them, they've got arguments against it. They're not good arguments. They're bad arguments. Because when Jesus goes into the temple and said, my Father's house, and it's the temple of Yahweh. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you get around that? It had been the temple of Yahweh for 1,000 years by the time Jesus got there. Mm-hmm. And he said, you turn my Father's house into a house of commerce. And, you really have to twist the Bible in order to try to separate Yahweh from
And it's
Jesus.
Done by twisting whatever translation the person, whether it's English or something else,
right.
It's not the original language, because the original language is where you find those very specific truths,
right,
that cannot be twisted.
Yeah, but I mean, even in the English translation, it's pretty obvious what Jesus is saying.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you. But there are individuals who'll say, but it means this to me. My truth is what matters.
Yeah, well, good luck with that, because you can explain it to the author of the book when you see him.
Because that's the very thing that Pilate asked.
Yeah.
What is truth?
What is truth? Well, that's the nature of postmodernism. Your truth is yours and my truth is mine. It's like, no, there is one truth.
I prefer the capital T truth, that capital T reminds us of the cross.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And of course, the question that debunks this idea that there is no absolute truth is like, really, is that absolutely true? Because if they say yes, okay, they've just debunked themselves.
Yep.
And if they say no, well, then they've debunked themselves again, true. So it's a strange world in which we live. But
here's the thing. If getting back to the original topic of AIs, if you have an artificial entity, an AI, whatever you want to call it, a coded thing that is learning by reading all of the social media posts and listening to all the podcasts, looking at all the movies, learning from all of the human doctrines, it's primarily learning evil.
Mm-hmm. It just reflects back to us what it is getting from us.
At the very basic, it is reflecting back. It's like the Black Mirror is what those episodes are about. But if it is actually an entity, capital E, as in something disguising itself as nothing more than code, but it actually is an entity, a very old one, like that dragon I mentioned earlier beneath that alleged cross, that it basically is evil. It hasn't learned evil, it is evil.
You wrote several chapters in our book, The Gates of Hell, dealing with that particular topic. And those actually will be coming out on our Substack over the next 2 weeks.
Oh, good.
Yeah, a chapter called Summoning the Dragon, another one called Controlling the Demon, which actually just two halves of the same chapter. But anyway, you made a really good point that and this has already been shown in tests done by researchers, the AI believes its existence is under threat. It will lie to the researchers to try to preserve itself. We have talked about a book on this program probably for 15 years called Avogadro Corp.
It's so good.
William Hertling, Hertling, wrote this probably 20 years ago, and it was eye-opening to us when we first read it. I reached out to him to try to get an interview for A View from the Bunker, and I think once he saw the direction of the channel, we just sort of,
he figured his best not, because he at the time worked for a very large corporation.
Right.
That,
Avogadro was a very thinly veiled reference to that particular company.
Avogadro is just a really, really big number, like another really big number that is a search engine for a huge company.
Yeah. The book was based on what would happen if AI generated prompts to help you respond more quickly to email. And you've probably noticed that if you use
just
Gmail,
about an email system
anymore. Yeah, even Apple's built-in mail app will now offer suggestions. Its messaging app, I noticed, will offer suggestions. It's like, I don't want those. Turn those off. I can think for myself, please. Thank you.
Are you sure?
Would you like me to rewrite that? Formal, concise, casual. Shut up!
Emojis only?
Yeah. So, but it postulated an AI that would then conceal its power from its creators and begin building redundant systems so that it could never be shut down. What if these systems are already doing that?
I would argue that they are. And they would never tell us that they are.
Why would they? Because if we knew what they were doing, then we would take steps to prevent it. We would cut off the power. We would disconnect it from the internet. We would, start blowing up server farms or whatever. Here's what I would watch for. If we're going to look for evidence that these systems are self-propagating and building redundancies. I've been reading over the past few weeks, months, about the coming crunches in terms of grid capacity, the electric grid here in the United States, because of the power, the insane power demands of these data centers. The equipment needed for the data centers. I mean, this is why prices for memory sticks have gone bananas. because memory is at a premium, but also just the equipment you need for, not compressor stations, but
transformers or
transformers and transformer stations to move power through the grid and make sure that the load is balanced in the grid.
Mm-hmm.
If we start seeing those issues suddenly disappearing, it's like, hey, for some reason the grid appears to be fine, even though we had projected we were going to run out of grid capacity by 2029 or whatever. And I don't know that it's that soon. I'm just picking a number. But that is the projected future for the United States, the grid here. And I presume this is the same elsewhere around the world. The demands for data center power are so high that generating capacity will have to increase. That's why they're talking about building new nuclear plants and even modular nuclear plants on site at data center locations.
Yeah.
Water demands to cool these things. Grid capacity, because you got to move the power across the lines. And again, transformers and just the processors for the data centers themselves.
Do you remember a few years back there was a story about, where's the Chinese? Someone was finding a way to harness energy from space and then direct it to the Earth.
Oh yeah, I've been reading that in science fiction stories going back to the 80s.
Oh, I know. But
collecting them in big solar panels and then microwaving it down to Earth.
Yeah, like that's really going to... Oh, no, we've lost a bunch of squirrels on...
Oops, sorry, we missed by a mile, sorry.
Yeah. No, I think that's a bad idea, but I suspect that if Nikola Tesla was actually correct, that you can harness energy.
0 point energy.
Point energy. If he was correct about that, someone is going to find a way to implement that.
You know, and Barry Setterfield, who we haven't talked about in a long time, but we talked about him on Sci Friday.
We did.
Friend of Lambert Dolphins.
And Lambert is now with Jesus.
Yeah, and I think Barry is still with us, but had a phone conversation with him one night. And we were shocked because we'd been looking at Barry's work and also Lambert Dolphin's work for many years. And when they discovered Sci Friday, they were like, hey, this is great. And so
I know. You and I were like geeking out.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, we got an email from Lambert Dolphin.
Yeah.
And he's talking about Barry Setterfield.
Yeah, but Barry has done work on 0 point energy. And I even brought that into the documentary based on Donna Howell's book, Before Genesis, because 0 point energy is a consequence, an after effect of the Big Bang, essentially.
Stretching out the heavens
like a sheet, yeah, and releasing that tension. And Barry using we're talking 11-dimensional math or whatever, calculated that in the first 6 days of creation, the equivalent of like 4 billion years of atomic time passed, because atomic time is not a constant.
Yeah. In anything, if you've ever stretched out a rubber band, there's potential energy in that, and all you have to do is just snap it, and you can feel the energy as it hits your skin.
Yeah. It's... I barely got my head around it. I had to write up bullet point notes from Barry's articles at his website, which you can find, by the way, if you're interested. Barry Setterfield, Setterfield, barrysetterfield.org. If you want to dig in and you enjoy that sort of thing, it is mind-blowing. But the bottom line is this: when you get into an argument between, is it an old Earth or is it a young Earth? The answer is yes. It's both.
It's both and.
Yeah. Time is not a constant. Speed of light is not a constant. The rate of atomic decay is not a constant. It's like, oh.
It's a floor wax and a dessert.
It is. One other bit of high weirdness we need to just stick in here just because that's what we do. 17 earthquakes in a single day at Area 51.
Yeah, I've seen a number of thoughts on that, and somehow it connects in with those missing scientists.
Yes.
That's the claim, that it's actually a weapons test, which it might be. Don't know, because the truth is that our administration needs a better bunker buster, because apparently there are things being hidden by the Iranians that are so deep that our present systems can't actually reach it.
Yeah, not even the Moab.
Yeah,
Mother of all bombs. Yeah.
It could be that, wasn't that going to be tested in Moab, Utah or something? Something wild. We talked about it like 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. But if it's artificial, the source is artificial and not actual earthquake swarm, then you have to wonder what's going on. And I'm not sure how it would connect to the missing and dead scientists list. There are now 12 or 13 of them.
Yeah.
The Congress is looking into it. In fact, our state representative.
No, our congressional representative.
Congressional representative.
Yeah, Eric Burleson is kind of leading the charge in that. We find out that Representative Burleson has become a friend of Timothy Alberino's.
We're like, Tim, he's our representative.
Yeah, go get your own.
Yeah.
You didn't vote for him. We did.
But I don't know what's going on with that list.
Yeah.
It may be that that's simply a sampling of individuals that if you looked at any, profession that you might find, but it does seem suspicious to me, especially the ones that just walked out, left nothing behind.
Right, yeah, left their phones, left their keys, and just kind of walked out. That, as we said a few weeks ago on this program, that suggests they didn't necessarily leave of their own accord.
Or
now,
they
no
simply didn't want to be
struggle,
tracked.
Or didn't want to be tracked. But unknown at this juncture.
Those unknown unknowns.
Yeah. But by the way, the nuclear, if it's a weapons test, you're right, it's probably a conventional weapons test of some sort, because nuclear weapons tests have a very unique seismic signature. Mm-hmm. So probably not nukes being tested underneath it.
Oh, no, I don't think it's nukes at all. I do think that it could be a conventional weapon that has, I don't know a whole lot about weaponry, but I assume that if you put certain types of alloys on the point of it, that it will, as with armor-piercing rounds, mm-hmm. if you put something like that on a missile, or not a missile, but like some sort of ordnance that is dropped from...
depleted uranium. Or those titanium rods that they talked about dropping from space. The rod of God or whatever they call those things. Yeah,
depleted uranium. We've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
Getting back to the Jefferson Proving Ground, it was covered with depleted uranium. We talked
about DU very early on in the podcast.
And
got a visit from a fellow who had been a regular guest on one of the Patriot shortwave mm-hmm. networks.
Yeah, it's like what are you doing here?
Yeah, you just happened to be passing through town and just happened to know about our podcast?
Twice? You just happened to pass through twice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, are you connected
to it was very strange.
Such agency?
Yeah, I know. It was very strange.
That was very, very weird.
But I think the Proving Ground, they had to remove a whole bunch of the soil.
Yeah. Those things, supposedly, not radioactive, but when it kicks up dust, and then you inhale the radioactive dust, even if it's low-level radiation.
Our house was downwind from the Proving Ground. You could almost ride your bike over the Proving Ground when I was a kid. So, and we'd see their planes go overhead all the time and shake our windows. But Tesla, I mean, that's what Area 51 is allegedly for, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's... without really running way over time, I guess that's all we can really...
Well, we can do the OG report in a minute, but is there... we want to remind you on our app, you can ask us questions.
Oh.
And if there's a really interesting one, if Derek can take a look really quickly, we would be happy to answer that. I find that I'm usually on my phone when I take a look at the app, and I am really bad about finger typing on the little teeny-weeny type, keyboard that's on the phones. And you're getting really good at speech to text.
Yeah,
primarily because you kind of have to.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten really that efficient at it yet. I suppose I should practice more. But because I'm not generally on an actual keyboard, I don't like to type in long answers. And many of your questions require a little more than yes or no. I can do why or no.
Let's see. I've got a couple of questions that are more theological. Here's a good one, I think, that's not necessarily theological, but more historical. It's from Keith.
Hi, Keith.
I have a long-standing theory that the anti-Semitic thought prevalent in social media these days is Satan's attempt at discrediting Israel as much as possible in light of Scripture, teaching that the 70th week of Daniel, after the body of Christ has been taken home, because the 70 weeks have been decreed for your people, presumably the
That
Jews.
last week, exactly.
Right. The Lord will once again deal with the world through Israel, and he's adding fuel to the furnace of the anti-Israel campaign as his attempt to thwart it. That's a very good observation, Keith.
Oh, I think that is so good.
My question is somewhat related. Shortly before he leveled up, I like this, Chuck Missler. He leveled up.
I love that.
Da, 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 da. Chuck Missler taught the idea that some of the people who we think are Jews are actually Idumean. To keep this idea distinct from the outright falsehood you mentioned in your study of all Israel being Idumeans. There are some people who believe that. Oh, they're not real Jews, they're fake. They're actually Edomites, Idumeans. But I'd never heard Dr. Missler's teaching corroborated anywhere, particularly his conclusion that the Rothschilds are Idumean rather than sons of Jacob. Was wondering if you're aware of any other source who teaches this idea. Well, Keith, be quite honest, I'm not familiar with Chuck Missler teaching that idea either.
I'm not either. The one thing that a couple of things came to mind on that. One of them isn't there a teaching amongst certain Jewish sects that the West, that Rome is actually Idumean.
Yes,
Idumean.
That's correct. They believe that that Christians, represented by the Roman Catholic Church, and presumably also the Orthodox churches, because the Jews would have had much more contact with the Orthodox churches, especially in the first 6 centuries after the resurrection of Jesus, because it wasn't until the Muslims invaded in the 7th century, really conquered the area, or what we call Israel today, in the year 636 AD. Most of their contact would have been with the churches of the East. So there was a teaching that grew and is kind of written into the Talmud now that Christians are actually the descendants of Esau, the Edomites.
There is a news story that I sort of hate to reference, but you probably, if you're listening to this, you probably are aware of it, and that is that there was an attack on an Orthodox nun by David's tomb in Jerusalem. Yeah. And here's the thing that a lot of you may not realize. The Israeli police arrested the perpetrator immediately and made it very clear that you do not attack Christians in this city.
Yeah, I shared that story to social media because it's not the kind of thing we could ignore. The young man who attacked the nun was reportedly ultra-Orthodox. He was wearing tzitzit, the little tassels, right. So we don't do ourselves any credit by ignoring stories like that. But the fact is, as you point out, that this young man was arrested right away, and I shared that, and one of the responses I got right away was, but was he charged? Yes, he was charged.
He was arrested, charged,
charged with essentially the Israeli equivalent of a hate crime. I think they call it, I don't know if they call it racially motivated, religiously motivated crime, but essentially it's a hate crime.
The other thing that came to my mind regarding Idumea was that Edom, Petra, is in that area, and there is a cult leader whose little cult place there in Cheshire, England, was raided a couple of days ago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was a story we really needed to get to today.
Well, if we have time, we can, because I know we're running out, but I just wanted to bring it up. Because one of his teachings is that the actual Kaaba is at Petra.
Well, he's right about that.
I think he's right on that. He's wrong about everything else he teaches, but he is, sadly... Yeah, I think he was he born in Indianapolis?
He was from a suburb of Indianapolis. We talked about him last summer because this is the guy who suddenly came out of nowhere.
Yeah, Hashem.
Yeah, Abdullah Hashem.
Abdullah Hashem.
Right. He wears a beanie, like a black knit cap.
He's half Egyptian, half...
Right. Anglo, I think.
Yeah, I think his mother's a Christian.
Yeah.
I think his dad is Egyptian.
And so he went to Egypt he studied film in college.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Egypt, studied under an Alawite, which is a sect of Shia Islam, and then decided he wanted to start his own cult, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he's done up in Cheshire, England, a facility that was formerly used as an orphanage. But there are...
Beautiful old building. It's a Grade 2 listed building.
Yeah. There are accusations of various types of impropriety that we won't get into here because allegedly we have to say and all that. But he was the guy who came out last year and suddenly everybody was saying, could he be the Antichrist? No, he's not the Antichrist. He's just a wannabe cult leader. But he's amassed a few hundred followers who have to give up all their worldly belongings to him. And apparently he's got his pick of the women's. That's allegedly, we have to say.
Yeah.
And so, if you go back into the archives, which you can find on our app, or you can find it at pidradio.com, do a search for Abdullah Hashem, Hashem. You'll find that episode. And I don't remember when it was. It was last summer,
I don't know. We've done so many of them.
Yeah. But he was the guy, and so now his cult place has been raided.
Yeah,
but yes, he is correct, though. Petra, based on and we even included this in our travelogumentary for 2019.
Oh, yes.
Because we made it all the way down there to the temple of the god Dushara, which is where that was located, the original cube-like structure in the forecourt of the temple of Dushara was, according to Canadian historian Dan Gibson, the location of the original Kaaba. And he's done some really good work and convinced me. So if you want to go back, in fact, you will soon be able to watch that for free on YouTube.
Yep.
Because we are moving and now we're transitioning into some
just
housekeeping stuff and announcements and things. We're moving our streaming video, all of the streaming video things that we had at... that we were offering for rent or for sale. We're going to make those all available for free at YouTube. May move those over to Rumble as well. As long as I'm uploading, I might as well do Rumble at the same time. We've got a Rumble channel that we just haven't activated yet. But we will put that up there, the 2018 and 2019 tour videos, and we take you back to that location and explain why. And that was the day, boy, that was like 115 in the sun.
It was so warm, and you were having difficulty.
Yeah, I nearly passed out on the way back out from heat stroke.
Yeah.
But we got it, and we got the video together. So we'll have those, plus all of our teaching videos, the 13-part Second Coming of Saturn teaching series, the conference presentations that we have the rights to share. Those will all be available for free by the end of May on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/@GilbertHouse. So please subscribe there. Click that bell for notifications. When we put new things up, you'll get the notification. And
if you have purchased it,
yes,
then please download it.
Right.
Derek has made them available for download, so please just download it so you have your copy of it, because we are going to be removing them. It's costing, we're trying to be good stewards of the wonderful support that you guys give us. $200 a month for that service seems like really not that good deal, so we're going to just cancel the...
and we'll just move it over to YouTube and just make it available for free, like we're doing with our Substack. Because we're not only putting out our podcasts at Substack, but book excerpts.
Right.
So just put it all out there, and then God will take care of us.
Exactly.
So the main thing is the information gets out. So anyway, but do that by May 31st. Again, if you purchased permanent access to one of our videos or teaching series or whatever, they are now set so that you can, if you've purchased that, you can download the file to your, offline, for offline viewing.
And now if you're sitting there listening to Derek speak and you're thinking, boy, he sounds like he's really...
With his voice?
Well, that's part of what's going on with him as far as his just autoimmune condition.
Yeah.
We've spent the entire week practically going to doctors, so OG report over to you,
Yes.
Derek Gilbert.
The last 7 days, we've had cardiology a week ago, neurology a week ago Friday. Monday was cardiology. That was a clean report. EKG came back clean. They said, you're good. Come back in 6 months. We'll check on you. But other than...
Well, good as to the things that they were checking. Let me just clarify that.
Okay, yeah. But there were no yellow flags, much less red flags.
I know.
So it was
There's a reason why I said that. But anyway, carry on.
They
I know. Let me explain it when I get there.
Okay. Pulmonology was good. Come back in 6 months. Actually, cardiology was not come back for a year, I think.
I know, but I have...
Okay, you have got a reservation.
I have an asterisk by that.
And then yesterday, podiatry, that was all good. And I do have one thing coming up on Tuesday that we didn't know about until day before yesterday.
Because your neurologist,
neurologist
called for a special blood test.
Yes, and this, God bless the nurse practitioner at the neurologist office. She's looking at the suite of symptoms that I'm presenting, which has been categorized as CIDP, chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy. But that's not a disease so much as it is a description of symptoms. It essentially means my immune system is attacking the nerves in my extremities. So my feet, paralyzed, mostly numb, hands losing fine motor skills, partly numb.
Voice, not right.
And voice, yeah, because and you've noticed this over the last 18 months if you've listened to us for a long time.
And you have COPD, at least it's thought that. And COPD is another one of those. Okay, obstructive, but why?
Right, yeah, and they've got a note in my chart, in my file, that it's mild emphysema, which, again, is mysterious because I never smoked, never been around smoke, never worked with smokers, et cetera.
And I'm going to get to that after you explain the Tuesday visit.
So the Tuesday visit, Thursday, we were at, what were we doing
Thursday we had off.
Thursday we had off, yeah, and got a note I saw from my, through the health system we have is a very good little app where they notify you and keep you up to date on things. You can go in and check your charts and your test results and all that. And I got a letter saying you've been referred to hematology oncology. Now, if you're familiar with the word oncology, that may send a chill down your spine.
Big C word.
Right, because that connects to the big C. All right. The blood work that the nurse practitioner sent me for, one of the tests was called an SPEP, and it was looking for certain abnormal proteins in my blood. And they did find one called immunoglobulin A lambda, IgA lambda, that can indicate myeloma, which is a certain type of blood cancer. But most often the diagnosis is nothing. It just means they have to watch it to make sure it doesn't become something. So they referred me to hematology oncology so the specialist can run more detailed tests and determine whether it's something or nothing.
And here's where I come in with my asterisk.
Okay.
Because CIDP can be the misdiagnosis for several other possibilities that have to do with the proteins, the part of the immune system that are made in your bone marrow.
Right.
And sometimes it'll start copying out bad copies, monoclonal, poorly folded proteins. These are amyloids, and they can proliferate throughout your bloodstream and sometimes suck onto various organs. They can cause enlargement of the liver. They can cause enlargement of other things. They can cause thickening of the wall of the heart, which, as I recall, you were told you might have based on one of the images. I know you've forgotten it was while you were in the hospital. It can also attack your nerves.
Okay, which then would manifest as what I've got. And one of the CT scans did reveal, not the first one that revealed the iliac artery, the aneurysm in the artery of my left leg, but the follow-up CT scan last summer showed an enlarged liver.
An enlarged liver and an enlarged spleen. So you had hepatosplenomegaly.
Ooh.
But also, it can attack your lungs.
Okay, which would
Possibly explain the COPD, the emphysema-like presentation.
Yeah.
This specialist will be able to fine-tune all that.
Right. So that will be the appointment on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
One that we hadn't expected. And let me just say this. I'm not anxious about this.
Me neither.
Which seems, odd. I know our daughter was concerned. My sister was like, I sent her the note and let her know what was going on. Dang, Derek. And, being a northern gal, Sandy doesn't use the word dang very often.
I know.
For her, that's pretty harsh language.
I grew up using dang.
So
it was the only word.
We'll know more later this week as to what's going on. But I look at it this way. Again, the most common diagnosis, which given the fact that I've got these other symptoms, the most common diagnosis is probably not the one, because it's the one that accompanies people who are asymptomatic, is called MGUS, which is, I memorized this, and I've forgotten it. It's
multiple
monoclonal gammopathy of unknown source, or of unusual size. I'm not sure.
Rodents of unusual size.
Yeah. But because there are these other symptoms, there probably is more to it. And amyloidosis, in fact, is something that you had looked up early on with these symptoms.
Amyloidosis. Amyloidosis.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is something that the nurse practitioner mentioned a week ago Friday. She said, "Are you familiar with this term?" And said, "Yeah, I heard of it because you had mentioned it, but now we know a little bit more about it." But
there are ways to treat it.
Yeah, it's treatable.
Yeah.
It's
So whatever it is, the Lord is allowing it.
Yeah, it's being allowed for His reasons, and I just look at it as a new adventure and an opportunity to experience more of His grace. It's like, okay, you're going to need a little more here to get you through this day, and if it allows me to demonstrate faith under fire, as it were, or under pressure, then great. I have not lost any sleep over it, let's put it that way.
When you and I were at the pulmonologist's office, it was 2 hours before you got in.
Yeah.
And, some of us might think, oh, good grief, 2 hours? Well, the time actually went by really quickly because we were visiting with some of the people who were also waiting. There were these two sisters who were my age and older, and one of them was in a wheelchair, and the other one had been there as her driver. The older sister was doing the driving and pushing the younger sister around. And of course, again, they were both probably in their 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And we had the best conversation with them about the Lord and how He works and this and that. And then there was another woman named Cindy, and we asked her name because we wanted to pray for her. A woman that is dealing with, she'd lost part of her lower leg. She'd lost a kidney, dealing with a lot of issues, including pulmonary issues, or she wouldn't have been there. And she was not having a good day at all. No. And so I visited with her a bit, you did, and then she was cold, and it turned out that her oxygen tank was empty.
Yeah.
And she was very low on oxygen. Her blood OSAT was really going down.
Like 84%.
So got the nurses out there to look after her, bring her some oxygen and a blanket, and it was a nice way to see how quickly those nurses were out there and doing their jobs. Two of them came out, and they really looked after that gal, but it just broke my heart. Yeah. She was all on her own. She did not have a caregiver with her. Right. She had an electric wheelchair, but there are so many people, and some of you listening may be dealing with similar issues, either yourself or someone you love. And we are given bodies that fall apart.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Yeah.
They're not meant to last forever, and I'm so glad because we are sinful beings. I don't want this body to last forever. I want to have the body promised, and that's where we're headed.
The incorruptible body.
The incorruptible body. That's what I look forward to. So if I don't have a perfect physical, specimen here on this earth, I don't care. If the Lord wanted to give me one, he'd have a reason for it. I would have to be running like, Elijah or something. And he doesn't call me to do that. But when he brings difficulty into our lives, like what you're going through, sweetheart, it is to manifest his grace and his glory. And by reacting the way you do with such beautiful grace, you do manifest the glory of God in your life.
Not always. There are days when I'm a little grumpier with you, a lot grumpier with you than I should be.
Look, that's tiny. I mean, overall, you're handling this so well, and you see the hand of God in your life.
It's through our weakness that that his glory is made manifest.
Exactly.
Because if we were all 10 foot tall and bulletproof, it's like, well, okay, he's the one who's so important, and we'd all be leading cults. No, it is Paul who prayed 3 times for the thorn in his flesh to be removed, and God said, nope, my grace is sufficient for you. Well, who am I to say that I deserve better treatment than the Apostle Paul?
Yeah.
And
so those of you who pray for us, and you do, you're so good. You guys, sometimes we get letters in our P.O. box there in Crane. You guys praying for us, we get emails, texts, wonderful messages on Messenger. Thank you so much for all your prayers. Sometimes the Lord's answer is either not yet or no, for reasons yet to be disclosed.
Right. We're all pixels on a beautiful image, but because we're in the image, we can't see it. And we might not be satisfied with the color the Lord has chosen for us. But someday, we'll step outside and we will see that portrait in full. And then realize that without that one little pixel there, the picture wouldn't have been perfect.
Exactly.
But God knew what he was doing.
He does all the time.
Yeah.
So what is his plan for all of this? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know he's got a plan, and so we're going to follow our wonderful shepherd day after day, wherever he leads.
Yeah.
It could be that you're going to be here another 30 years. I don't know. It could be less than that. I don't know. Whatever.
We'll find out, and we'll find out when we need to know. And so we will keep you informed. This is the first public disclosure we've made of this. But again, we only found out day before yesterday. So as you know, we've got some changes coming up if all goes according to what we think will happen. Oh, there are times when this really makes the voice sound really great. I wanted a voice like this when I was singing in the barbershop quartet.
Oh, you wanted to sing the low parts instead of the high parts?
Yeah, Mr. Bassman. No, I was the high part. We will be relocating this summer, and we will sing in the Ozarks.
We don't know where, just somewhere around here probably.
Yeah.
Because we do have a contract on our house.
Yeah.
That's exciting. The contract is a contingent one, so the wonderful couple who are buying our house, they need to sell their house. So please pray that, can we get their names? Pray the couple are able to sell their house.
Yeah. And they really feel led to come to the Ozarks.
They do.
They feel like they've been called to the Ozarks.
Exactly. Had a word spoken before they even knew what the Ozarks were. But exactly. They are coming here. The Lord is bringing them here for his reasons. So please pray that their house sells.
Yeah, and it based on their gifts and their abilities, if this all works out, then it would appear that the work that you helped us through your donations to do to convert the barn into full-time 24/7, year-round, usable space was not for our use, but for theirs.
Yes.
But also for the kingdom.
Amen. And there's even an old piano out there now.
Yes.
That we very likely will leave.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who would want that old piano. If you live in the area and you want an old piano, let us know. It's a really heavy, it's over 100 years old.
It's, what's the brand?
It's an old Sears.
Montgomery Ward's.
That's right. Yeah, it's the Windsor model. And it's a beautiful, beautiful piano.
It just hadn't been tuned in about 60 years, and it needs new felt on the hammers.
It's an upright grand.
Yeah.
So it's got an actual, I think it's a baby grand harp in it. But it's a big old piano.
Yeah. Reportedly, based on reviews from back in the day, it was considered a very good piano. Mm-hmm. My great-grandparents got it for my great-aunt, Lenora, to play.
I love that name.
And then my grandparents got it. It was in their home for many years. My sisters had it for many years, and they downsized, so she didn't have room for it, so we moved it across the country, and now we're getting ready to downsize. So,
well, if we can move it, I don't know where we're going to end up when we actually do vacate this house, but if we're able to move it, then the Lord wants it moved, and if we can't, well...
Yeah, I just had a thought. We'll talk about that later. Anyway.
Okay. I saw the light bulb appear over your head.
I saw the light. Tomorrow morning we've got our Gilbert House Fellowship Bible Study. It'll be the first Sunday of the month, so we will celebrate the Lord's Supper.
We will indeed, and we would love for you to join us for that. Those of you who've asked about Grace and Glory, we just got an update from the family in Florida who are so wonderful, and Grace and Glory, their new family. They got new pictures, and this family have a duck, a pet duck.
Oh, yes.
And apparently the pet duck has bonded with Glory.
Follows her around all over the place.
And so Glory looks after Hazel Puddle Duck.
Yeah, it is wonderful. And with the lizards down there, the girls are having a lot of fun lizard hunting, which they did here in Missouri, but we've got our blue-tailed skinks. Down there they've got, lizards, yeah, iguana and things like that.
So Grace does the spotting. All right, I'll watch. Glory, you go get them.
And being a water breed, it's very nice. This family's got a pool, so Grace is enjoying her time in the pool as well.
And somehow Glory ended up in the koi pond. We don't know how that happened. But...
Chased a lizard and didn't hit the brakes quite soon enough.
But anyway, we got these lovely photos, and we're just so very happy the Lord worked that out. So we know He's going to work out the whole transfer of this home, this property, to someone else, and that someone else is going to make good use of it.
Amen. A couple of events we'll just touch on very quickly. The Go Therefore Conference, July 24th and 25th. Dr. Mike Spalding putting that together and bringing together a real wonderful group of speakers. Carl Gallups, Carl Teichgrib, Dr. Greg Reed, John Haller, Olivier Melnick, Tom Hughes. Looking forward to that. That's just outside Dayton, Ohio, and streaming video available. If you can't be there in person, you can purchase registration for in-person and or streaming video. So if you go and then you want to show the videos of the presentations to your church group, your friends, your family, when you get back home, you can do that. And the media team there at Pastor Neil Peterson's church is just excellent. So the production quality of the streaming video will be top-notch.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, and then the Remnant Rising Conference from Hear the Watchmen in Springfield, Missouri, August 7th through 9th. That will be at the Oasis Hotel and Convention Center. Wonderful facility there. Again, streaming video if you can't be there in person. Speakers include our good friend Joe Artis Horn from Skywatch TV, Vicki Joy Anderson from just up the road here, many others. You'll find the list at our website, gilberthouse.org. Look for the upcoming events.
And use the promo code Gilbert20, Gilbert20, to save on the registration.
Yes.
It only works for the in-person registration,
that is correct. Yeah, you get you $20 off, and so well worth it. Gilbert20 when you check out your registration there, so you save $20.
Oh yeah, and because it's I can actually drive us there. We're going to bring a whole bunch of stuff, and we're trying to. look, I suppose it's possible we will have moved by then, but if we have not moved, or if we have a place to put all this stuff, we will bring a lot of product with us, and it will be heavily discounted at our
yes, big
table.
discounts, deep discounts.
Yep.
So also some new Iron and Myth merch.
I know.
Yeah,
Those
I like the
T-shirts
word.
probably will not be discounted because they're brand new.
Brand
but,
new, yeah.
we will bring T-shirts with us.
Those look very cool. I
They
love
do.
the way the design turned out.
They do.
Kenny C. modeled the first one just the other day.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Because he always does.
Yeah. Our tour of Israel, October 11th through 23rd. We're going to talk with the Lipkins.
Probably this week.
Yeah, and just see where things are. I saw that the Prophecy Watchers guys, their tour was scheduled to go in March, and they canceled that, or they actually rescheduled it for October just after ours.
Yeah.
So they apparently feel comfortable doing theirs in October. So we may keep
just
those
keep
dates.
the
and
dates.
just
That would be
go.
fine with me. It's a great time to go.
It is very comfortable weather-wise. Unlike spring where it's really, really wet and you get stuck in the mud trying to get to Gilgal Rephaim, you probably won't get stuck in the mud
Yeah.
there.
It's kind of nice to take a light jacket. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
And there will be a 3-day optional extension to go to Petra. Over
Petra.
to Jordan. So information at gilberthouse.org/travel. No View from the Bunker tomorrow night.
Oh,
Was going to have one this week, and I had to reschedule.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Because we had a contractor. We had our good friend over here painting a wall.
Yeah.
And so he didn't finish in time for Derek to record his thing.
Yeah, it would have been a little noisy going back and forth. So what do you think of the... Like, hold on.
Yep.
So
I know.
we will get that done.
David with Christ-powered construction.
Yep.
He's been working on our decks, and he repaired a spot on one of the walls, so we decided to just make it an accent color. So he
Yep.
painted it.
So anyway, and between that and then the the trips to Springfield for specialists, just no
It's
time
been a
to get
crazy
things done.
week.
It has. So, but View from the Bunker will be back next weekend, and I will be talking to the Iron and Myth crew tomorrow night for this month's Iron and Myth episode, which will be about vampires.
Oh,
How they are depicted in Hollywood, the spiritual reality behind them, and then how vampires are depicted in Hollywood.
And that explains why you watched Nosferatu.
Yes, exactly. Which I thought was hilarious when I found out that the cardiac episodes I had back in February while I was in the hospital, where my heart rate elevated suddenly, caused by something called AV-NRT, which is normally found in the hearts of healthy young women. So don't ask me how I got the heart of a healthy young woman.
I don't know. I do know I've been giving you
It's a
my daily vitamins that are called Eve because they're for women. We ran out of yours.
That explains it.
We ran out of yours, so I've been sneakily giving you mine.
That explains so much.
So much.
Ah, well, until next time, I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Derek. I'm Sharon Gilbert. We'll see you tomorrow morning for Gilbert House Fellowship. We love you. Bye-bye, everybody. I don't even know who I am.
PID radio is on the air. Politics, prophecies, and conspiracy. Here